1960s through 1970s. The mighty Tata chapter was founded on February 3rd, 1961 in Compton, California. The third chartered in the Los Angeles area. The induction of officers took place at Rand's Roundup Restaurant in Los Angeles on February 17th, 1961, at an informal banquet presented by members of the new chapter. Active in the festivities on behalf of the chapter were brothers Jason Cowan, Roland Powell, Sylvester Ward, and Albert O. Robinson. Brothers Cowan and Powell served as chapter master of ceremonies and introduced all brothers attending. Brother Roland Powell, along with brothers Sylvester Ward, Waldo Phillips, and Jason Cowan, were the prime movers in launching the new chapter. The founding chapter officers were Brother Sylvester Ward, Basileus, Brother Roland H. Powell, Vice Basileus, Brother James F. Evans, Senior, Keeper of Records and Seal, Brother Dr. Thomas Gibson, Keeper of Finance, Brother Eugene Parks, Keeper of Peace, Brother Jason Cowan, Chaplain, Brother Albert O. Robinson, Chapter Editor, Brother Jimmy Stansfield, Dean of Pledges, Brother Thomas Morgan, Parliamentarian. Other charter members of Tata included Dr. Lee Bass, Johnson E. Manor, Waldo B. Phillips, and John Dillard. The early years for Tata were busy and eventful. During 1961, following chapter presentation and installation, the chapter sponsored an affair called Le Vieux in Rhapsody at Fort MacArthur Officers Club in May. The chapter's first Achievement Week program was held at Redeemer Presbyterian Church in Compton, with Brother Jason Cowan as principal speaker. The formal dance was held in December. 1962 saw the chapter co-sponsor a boat ride to Catalina Island with the Exceptional Children's Opportunity School. This activity was the outstanding social event of the summer in Los Angeles. The chapter's first annual family picnic was held in August 1962. During this time, the Los Angeles area chapters collectively hosted the annual Mardi Gras, a common event throughout the fraternity. Brother Basileus Sylvester Ward represented Tata at the 1961 conclave in Washington, and Brother James Evans was elected delegate to the 1962 conclave. The original chapter members were still active, with the exception of Brother Roland Powell, who left to study veterinary medicine at Tuskegee Institute. 4 more brothers were reclaimed, and 4 brothers were initiated into the fraternity on October 28, 1961. Brothers Willie Alexander, Doctor of Pharmacy, Daniel Davis Jr., Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, Herbert Robinson, and Charlie Banks. Meetings were rotated monthly, with 2 brothers acting as hosts, and were always highlighted with lively debate followed by real Omega Fellowship. At this time, 22 brothers made up the roster, with Sylvester Ward serving as Basileus, John Sneed, Vice Basileus, Huey Dredd, KRS, Thomas Gibson, KF, Elbert Robinson, Chaplain, James Stansfield, Dean of Pledges, and Johnson Manor, reporter to the Oracle. Other members were Charles Banks, Lee Bass, Willie Alexander, Jason Cowan, Daniel Davis, James Evans, McKinley Exum, Homer Lewis, David Page, William Payne, William Reese, Herbert Robinson, Jabo Sandoz, Sidney Pirtle, and Oliver Ward. The Compton QS were officially established during this era, with Mrs. Eula Ward, wife of then Basileus, Brother Sylvester Ward, serving as president. The Compton QS hosted various events in the city of Compton. Most notable were the annual Christmas party and Christmas basket giveaway to the needy in the community. Tata Chapter's first decade saw leadership from brothers Sylvester Ward, John Sneed, Huey Dredd, B. Winford Smith, and Charlie Banks, respectively serving as the first 5 chapter bacilli. Tata Chapter's leaders throughout the 1970s were Brother Huey Dredd, Charlie Banks, and Marco Valerie, respectively serving as 7th, 8th, and 9th chapter bacilli. Brother Dre's administration continued collaborations with the Los Angeles area chapters, combining efforts to host the Omega Starlight Formal in 1970. In 1972, Tata chapter continued its project of supplying shoes to needy children, helping them remain in school. The chapter also started awarding scholarships to high school graduates in the area. The mid-70s saw the leadership of Brother Charlie Banks, Tata chapter's 5th and 8th basileus, and first brother initiated in the chapter to hold the position. Brother Marco Valerie was the 9th and longest tenured basileus, serving in the position from the late 1970s to the mid-1980s. This was a tumultuous period for the chapter as it related to membership. Many brothers left the area for better career opportunities back east. Brother Valerie single-handedly kept the chapter afloat, sometimes being the lone member at chapter meetings. Brother B. Winford Smith was initiated into the Omega Psi-Phi Fraternity in 1956 by way of Psi Alpha chapter in San Antonio, Texas. Brother Smith served as Tata's chapter's 4th basileus, and at the age of 90, he is the oldest living brother to hold the position. Brother Smith graduated from Arkansas A&M College, now known as University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, receiving his bachelor's degree in business administration. Brother Smith served in the Air Force from 1951 to 1955, and in the Army Medical Corps from 1958 to 1960. He moved to the Los Angeles area in 1961 to join the Internal Revenue Service as a revenue agent, transferring shortly after to the Federal National Mortgage Association as an accountant. In 1964, after spending about a year as a loan officer with the Small Business Association, he then joined the Los Angeles Economic Development Agency, a federally funded organization used to locate and train potential minority businessmen who might be eligible for SBA loans. After quickly advancing from supervisor to executive director, Brother Smith was selected director of the Small Business Administration's Washington, D.C. regional office, making him the first African American ever to head one of the agency's, at the time, 62 regional offices. Brother Winford Smith led the chapter in 1967 and left in 1968 to Washington, D.C. to begin his work as director, which included implementing Project OWN, the SBA's initiative to push minority business ownership in urban core areas.
I was made in April of 1956 in San Antonio.
Okay.
Psi Alpha chapter. I had my 90th birthday, October 31st. I've been active probably about 15 of those 60 years plus. And I came into Compton when Compton was going through all kinds of changes, economic growth in general. The Compton that I knew integrated around '63, the Los Angeles Georgia Ball Club moved in, and we had John Roseborough and Tommy Davis and all of those people were right in that area. Compton Boulevard, Rosecrans, Wilmington. That was our community. And when I got in the chapter, they had about 15 brothers. And they were a real close-knit group. They did everything together, although we were limited because blacks for the first time were getting into some responsible jobs. Certainly the pay was limited. The social activity in Compton was almost non-existent. But we had several things that we were involved in. Naturally, the mandates of the fraternity, we also always participated in NAACP and that kind of thing. A major fundraiser was the Mardi Gras and the boat ride. And our boat ride probably was the most successful because we didn't have to ask for participation of the other chapters. At the time, the fraternity, I guess the main fundraiser for the fraternity nationally was Mardi Gras. I can't remember anything else other than that. But we had carte blanche. We'd go to Catalina Island. It was a 4-hour trip, and anything that we sold, if we had a grocery store, we could have sold it because we had a captive audience. But anyway, we had a real great group of people. I don't remember too many people dropping out while I was there. There are a couple of people that I never hear you folks make mention of Dr. Hall and Dr. Jason Cowan and Elbert Robinson. Elbert Robinson was the regional manager for the Boy Scouts of America, and he kept us very busy. During that period of time, we met at homes. Two brothers would sponsor a meeting, and it was cheap, during the time it wasn't that much to do. I think I was fortunate to meet the brothers that I met at the time because they were really devoted. I think of guys like Exum, Jimmy Evans, Huey Dredd, Stansel, Alexander, Gibson. Those guys, man, they took care of business. I mean, we never had any problems on getting them to pay. They were always financial, and that was a lot of problems at that time because we needed every penny. We kept in touch with all of the community leaders. Everybody knew about us. I think we were the only fraternity active in that area at the time. I'm more than sure. During my administration and when I left to come back east, there were a lot of economic growth that took place in that area. And certainly, brothers were doing better and they had more money than they had normally had to participate in certain kinds of activities. And their attitudes were generally upbeat because in the 60s was a lot of things happening, and everybody was doing anything they were first. The biggest thing you have to, with a large chapter, seem to me, is clicks. The little clicks are the thing that will kill you. They will kill you. It has a way of getting the attention over a short period of time. It doesn't have to go for a long period of time, because you look around and you see, well, look, I thought I had more support than I really have. And I guess the first time I recognized how well you guys were really doing, I met Brother Lewis at a Alpha Omega affair. But it was really a delight being associated with Tata. And every time I said I was going to come back and visit, something always came up. And I regret that today, that I never took time. I could have forced myself to visit with you folks. But man, I'm proud. 60 years, man. Who would believe that? 60 years.
The upward momentum of the chapter to our current status began in the late 80s under the leadership of Brother Mark Isles, past second vice grand basileus. Brother Isles was recruited by Brother Joe Cole Sr., past grand chaplain and Tata chapter KRS. Brothers Cole and Isles served together on the Supreme Council under the leadership of Brother L. Benjamin Livingston, 32nd Grand Basileus and first son of the 12th District to serve in the position. Brother Isles worked to revitalize the chapter and set it on its progressive course.
When they gave me the reins, I believe there were 5 members in Tata chapter at the time. And by the time my tenure as bosses ended, there were 36 plus members, and we had a budget on the other side of right around $5,000. So we were beginning to grow. I came to Tata because at the time and nothing has changed. I have pure undergraduate focus, and I thought that Tata was going to become a graduate voice for the undergraduate. My leadership revolved around an understanding of how we as an organization, where we functioned at our highest level. My leadership is all about, excellence, and how do we get to excellence. And Elliot White went out, did his research, and he came back with Meals on Wheels. That was his idea that he will tell you he found on the parameters that I set in that meeting.
I became bossless in '88. I think about '88, I became the bossless. Did that for a couple of years. Brother Lewis was my vice bossless, and we just hit the ground and just kept running from there. One of the things that during my administration was we started participating in the 12th district activity. Prior to that, nothing was happening there. We also, at that time, formed an alliance with the LA chapters. It started off with, it was Tau chapter, Phi BB, Lambda Omicron, and Zeta Rho. And then later on, Zeta Tau joined us. Of course, at that time, Lambda Omicron was the biggest chapter. There was doing, I guess they were around, somewhere around the 80 membership, something like that. And, but we built it. And so we kept our eyes on the prize under the leadership of Brother Lewis, myself, Brother Taiska, and the rest of the bosses. We then began to build Tall chapter to what it is.
During the administration of brothers Mark Iles and Marcus A. Bedford, the chapter began regular meeting attendance. Through their leadership and vision, Tata was once again represented at all 12th District meetings, leadership conferences, and grand conclaves throughout the decade. Tata continued to grow through reclamation and the selection and education process. The 1980s also saw Tata's first initiated member since 1961, Brother Dan Kurtz, initiated in 1988. From the mid-80s through the 90s, Tata chapter was led by brothers Mark Iles, Marcus Bedford, Ricky L. Lewis, Chris Taiska, Arthur Bud Coleman, Keith Parker, and Paul Turner, respectively serving as 10th through 16th chapter Basili. Tata reached new heights under the guidance of these administrations.
So not only have offices, Brother Bedford talked, we'd have a constitution. So as his vice boss, we put together the constitution that we have now. 80% of it was already set when, back in 1985, 86. So I think that speaks volumes about where we were then. Also, we were getting beat up all the time for chapter of the year. So I told Brother Bedford, man, we got to just start doing some activities, putting our packages together. And then when I became bossless, man, we won chapter of the year the first year, and the second year, we won chapter of the year back to back. But the piece that that's not talked about in this chapter, that we brought Moxie to the table. It takes Ronnie Walker to tell you what happened when Ricky Lewis, Chris Tasker, and Bud Coleman came to the chapter. We brought some Moxie. We was very arrogant. We was very cocky. We were getting beat up by Zeta Rho and Phi Beta Beta over and over and over. We just put some org structure on us, what we were trying to do, attending district meetings. We didn't, when we went to district meetings, man, we didn't sit with anybody else. We rolled all in together. We were like a band of brothers. And everybody knew Tata was in the house. We rolled with, a lot of brothers went to the district meeting back in that day for a smaller chapter. 35, 40, 50, 60 brothers, man. We took 70, 80 brothers to district meeting. Area meetings, we went to 20, 25 brothers. So we were on the map. The beauty about all this is that we all served under the mentorship of all the charter members. Pirtle, Stanzo, Exxon, Maynard, Valerie. So you have all the charter members who are our ages now. Those brothers were 40, 45, 50 years old. And they didn't say much, man, but they didn't tolerate any foolishness.
The 90s became a pivotal decade for the chapter, seeking to complete all mandated programs set forth by the fraternity and align itself with the directives of the 12th District and International Headquarters. Tata chapter was selected as the chapter of the year 2 consecutive years in a row, 1991 and 1992, respectively. During the 1992 Grand Conclave, the fraternity recognized Brother Marcus A. Bedford, Sr., as the recipient of the Superior Service Award for his outstanding and consistent works. The chapter also received numerous Reclamation Chapter of the Year awards. Through the membership intake process, more brothers were brought into the chapter and the folds of Omega Deer. Brother Ricky L. Lewis became the chapter's first district officer beginning in 1994 as the first vice district representative, eventually becoming the 12th district representative in 1996. Brother Lewis also served as district marshal in 1990 for the first 12th district meeting hosted by the chapter. Brother Lewis also served as Grand Marshal for the 1996 Grand Conclave held in Los Angeles.
Came to Bossless in 1994 through 96. Was one of the Bossless hosting the conclave when he came out here to LA. I just want to show this. I was known as one of the organization cues. So I ran Tall chapter like a Fortune 500 company where I was the CEO, and you can see my org chart with Keith Parker as the vice boss list, Alexis Sales, Brother Hill, and some other brothers in my administration. We were known back then as a party chapter. So brothers like Rick, myself, Chris, Brother Bedford, and others were competing for who can sell the most tickets. We also did a lot of stuff in the community. I think Brother Mark and I started an Easter egg hunt. And then, other brothers like Brother Bedford, Lewis, and Tysker, and myself, and even after me, Keith Parker, we kind of every year took it to another level. That's one of our social action committees that all of us took great pleasure in hosting. We did everything, Meals on Wheels, all of that. Also, I left behind with the chapter a number of templates. That was part of my organization strategy.
The 90s also saw the creation of the annual Youth Leadership Conference, with Brother Ricky L. Lewis serving as its director. The brothers of Tata began to load their wagons and rolled up their sleeves with a calendar of over 27 events listed. Activities outside of the fraternity's mandated programs included the LA Watts Summer Games, church visits, Meals on Wheels, voter registration drives, walkathons, Easter Carnival, Martin Luther King Day Parade and Float, blood drives, cultural symposiums, Career Day, Pan-African Film Festival, and mentorship program. The mighty Tata went on to receive Chapter of the Year honors again in the 1990s, specifically 1996 and 1998.
During my administration, one of the things that I tried to do was to bring a brother's family into the activity that he was doing in the chapter. And what I mean by that is that every time we would have a attendance list of all the activities that we did, dances, blood drives, whatever it was, voter registration, we had an activity list. And for all the brothers who had wives or significant others, I would send them a personal letter with the boss's letterhead on it, thanking their wife for the time that they were allowed to spend with us during that time. And I would share with them a little bit about that particular event so that the brothers could get a little accolades at home. I had an excellent administrative staff. My vice boss was Kevin. My KRS was Dr. Maurice Gross. My KF was Mike Allen. My chaplain was Brother Derek Delaney. We had everything covered. We ran like a smooth, a well-oiled machine. We would have our e-board meetings, and I would have meetings with the past boss and I to tell them what my plan was, where I was trying to go, so that I could get whatever I needed necessary to make my plans move forward.
I stand on the shoulders of brothers that have taught me how to be not only a brother, a friend.
60 years later, we're the largest chapter in the 12th district and probably one of the top 10 largest chapters in the whole country.
I was and still proud to be an ex-Tall member, and Tall will always be in my heart.
This chapter is not going to let you fail. It just won't happen. We've got too many luminaries. We've got too many people who love this thing and do the work. And I am just proud to be in that number.
I know I've been changed. Say I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed since Omega Psi signed my name. Help me, brothers. I know I've been changed. Say I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed since Omega Psi signed my name. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom. That's why I'm giving all of my love, my peace and happiness. I'm gonna give it to Omega. All of my love, my peace and happiness. I'm gonna give it to Omega. All of my love, my peace and happiness. I'm gonna give it to Omega. Side, for you, side, all of my love, peace and happiness. I'm gonna give it to Omega. All of my love, my peace and happiness. I'm gonna give it to Omega. Side, for you, side by you. 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 Side, you, side by you, sci-fi, for you, side by you, sci-fi, for you, sci-fi.
The chapter started the new millennium as it ended the prior, under the direction of Paul Turner, 16th Bacillus, and continued on under the management of brothers Rod Bickerstaff, Todd May, Walter Hunter, and Ronan Hill, respectively serving as 17th through 20th chapter Bacillus. The chapter continued to grow through its reclamation efforts and the membership selection program. Tata chapter continued the trend of the late 90s with multiple Chapter of the Year honors, including back-to-back International Chapter of the Year in 2004 and 2005.
During my administration, I wanted to do a couple of things. One was to foster a group that could reach out to other chapters on Omega Psi Phi, but also look at other groups like the Deltas, aka sororities, and other fraternities. That's one of the things that I really wanted to focus in on, is creating that bond with those other organizations. Similar to what Brother Turner did, I always write a personal letter to anyone who came to the chapter, just a note, say thank you. And that would always go a long way, because when we transition to doing more bigger events like black ties and things of those type of big events, it's easier to sell a ticket when you make that friend early on. You make that connection earlier on with the individual, so that you're not just coming to them to buy the tickets. It's just a part of it's a natural part of what you're doing as a fraternity. But also one of the things I did was I supported everybody. So if a Sigma's had an event, I was at a Sigma event. If the AKAs had an event, I was at the AKA event, representing Tata chapter. And that was one of the highlights of just my overall Omega career.
In 2003, Brother Marcus Bedford was elected the 12th District First Vice District Representative. The chapter's first annual Black Tie Scholarship Gala provided $10,000 to inner city youth. The Rollin' Bowl event became Q's at the Alley and has been one of the chapter's most financially successful events. As a community service project, the chapter's 2005 initiates began the tradition of providing turkeys to the needy in the community of Compton on Thanksgiving. 16 years later, the program continues feeding the underserved in Compton.
One of my goals as the boss is I want to kind of reestablish some of those relationships and bring some integrity back to the chapter. And so I did that. Couple of accomplishments as when I was the boss list. The chapter hosted the 63rd district meeting in Manhattan Beach. And I served as the boss list and the registration chair. We were also, at that time, it was the highest attended district meeting where I think we're counting all attendees, registered brothers, visitors, dignitaries. I think we exceeded 500 brothers. During my administration, we had the highest chapter numbers. I think we were around 130 plus. Also during that district meeting, we had, I think, the highest number of brothers at that time registered, and we were over 100 brothers registered for that district meeting.
The second decade of the new millennium saw the leadership of brothers Sean Castleberry, Kwame Dow, Ed Young, Rodney Brooks, and Charles Ezel Jr., respectively serving as 21st through 25th chapter Bacilli.
As soon as we took over, got read in, I changed a lot of the structure of the way things was, as far as having the way the meetings, you would come, you would pick up you kind of grab these sheets that were all over the table, these reports that was all over the table. So I said, we have to stop doing that. We have to be more professional and be more prepared. So I made sure that at the exec board meeting, we had all of our reports in, and a packet would be disseminated to the chapter as the members came in. And that was also with the goal in mind to eventually go paperless. One of the things that I brought back was Q's at the Alley. Started that. We did Q's in the city, multiple of those. And every year, Q's at the Alley was supposed to grow. I also instituted the Grit Gazette. The Grit Gazette was a chapter newspaper to highlight things that was going on in a chapter separate from the chapter meeting. Births, weddings, anything the brothers was doing, editorial section. We supported Compton. We supported Compton socially, politically, and economically.
I became bossless in 2012 and served until 2014. Under my administration, we began doing our scholarship gala. Q's at the Alley really began to take off. One of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to give back to the Brotherhood, so I started a few things. One called the Brotherhood Resource, where brothers had the opportunity to talk about their businesses and bring something to the chapter. A lot of times I was going to chapter meetings and I'd have money in my pocket, and by the end of the meeting I'd walk out with nothing, because we were always passing the hat or people were coming in and asking for things. And then also I developed a program called The Lamp, where brothers could bring the diversity that was in the chapter from around the country and really share some history from their own individual chapters and bring it to light in the chapter. Also started Omega Closet. Thought it would be a great opportunity for us to give back to the community in that way. So we collected clothes, and that program is still going on today.
We started off good. I was very, very proud of the fact that I think it was the first time in history at that time, my very first year, every single elected officer was initiated through the chapter. That showed the growth and maturity and the trust that men on this call had put in all the members of the chapters, that we constantly trained, developed, and extended brothers. We were creating a succession plan, and we had great leaderships that came before us, and I felt huge responsibility to duty to never let anybody down. And I think the culminating moment for me is the Phoenix district meeting, and it was a tremendous meeting for the chapter. I remember we started off by the chapter won the golf tournament, the foursome. Then our talent hunt won the talent hunt. Then our kid from our chapter won the essay contest. Then the chapter won chapter of the year, reclamation chapter of the year. The brother won Colonel Charles Young Award, won Superior Service Award, won Founders Award. The only award that the chapter didn't walk away with was Omega Man of the Year, and they refused to allow us to walk away with everything, but the brother was deserving. I was so proud to see the chapter in full display, and when we were done with it, I was very proud that I maintained the standards where we walked away with 3 chapters a year. My last year, Brother Lewis called me from Cincinnati, and he said, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm at home." He says, "I got you an award." I said, "What award?" He said, "We had just won International Chapter of the Year."
The list of accomplishments that our e-board and the members of our chapter accomplished during my tenure, it's pretty extensive, it's pretty lengthy. Our impact was not only on the local and the district level, but we had international impact also. On the international level, Brother Ricky Lewis was elected first Vice Grand Bossless. On the district level, we had 3 positions on the 12th district level. At the time, Brother DR was elected as first Vice DR. Brother Kwame Dow. Brother Ronan Hill was the district keeper of records and seal. And Brother Raphael Irving was the district keeper of finance. Brother Ed Young was appointed as Southern California area representative, a position he still holds to this day. So our impact as a chapter has been felt worldwide since my coming into the chapter back in 2010. On the local level, the accomplishments, I said, were many. Once again, mentoring is my niche. That's where I feel comfortable. And I think that's where we've had the greatest gains as far as being able to impact our community.
In 2017, the chapter won its second International Social Actions Chapter of the Year. Tall chapter leaders saw their talents used on the district and international levels. Brother Ronan Hill served as District KRS. Brother Raphael Irving served as District Keeper of Finance. The first brother initiated through Tata chapter to hold the position. Brother Kwame Dow served as the 12th District First Vice District Representative and is now the 34th 12th District Representative. Brother Ricky L. Lewis was elected and re-elected to the position of First Vice Grand Basileus, the first chapter member ever to serve in the position. During this era, Tata chapter adopted the mission statement, transforming our communities through service and mentorship. As Tata chapter has become a recognizable name in the fraternity, we have not forgotten our roots, the Compton community. Through the chapter's Compton initiative, we have built relationships and partnerships with community leaders of the city of Compton. In spite of the COVID-19 global pandemic, Tata chapter has been at the forefront of innovative leadership. The chapter successfully hosted the first ever virtual 12th District meeting and sponsored a water borehole to provide clean water to the Nusuta Bima community of Ghana. The chapter also handed out over 3,800 food boxes to the people of Compton via the Uplift LA Institute. Since 2014, we have provided $137,000 in scholarship money to African American male high school seniors in the Los Angeles area by way of the annual scholarship gala. Entering its third decade of the new millennium, the mighty Tata continues to commit itself to the cardinal principles of manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift by seeking to reach out and build bridges with other community leaders and benevolent organizations. The mighty Tata seeks to challenge itself and its steadfast body by raising the bar and bringing in new leaders through the membership selection process and serving as the boot camp for leadership within the 12th District and the fraternity, transforming our communities through service and mentorship.
During my administration, I can say that I saw us through a global pandemic, all the uncertainty that came with it, where a lot of organizations have folded. We thrived. We hosted the first ever virtual district meeting. That was a tremendous success. Thank you to Brother Ed Young on that. We saw the election of the chapter's second district representative, Brother Kwame Dow. One of the things that we've done as a chapter that I take the most pride in as being its leader is the borehole in Ghana that we provided. To be able to be a part of or to sponsor something that most Americans, I'd say all Americans, pretty much take for granted. Water, clean water. We're able to provide that to thousands for generations to come, and to see the reaction of the Ghanaian people, the Nsuta Bima people, how they received that gift from us, was just one of the best feelings in the world, and I feel like it's one of my greatest accomplishments as bossless of this chapter. Going forward, I think as we develop new leaders, we'll continue this great path that Tata has taken since 60 years ago. And so I'm looking forward to another 60 years of greatness.
Good evening, brothers and friends. I am Dr. David Marion, the 41st Grand Bossless of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. The westward expansion of Omega has richly enhanced our brotherhood since our founding in 1911. Since 1961, the Brothers of Tata Chapter have represented the best of Omega. From its chartering with a cadre of scholarly men to today, with a membership base that boasts leaders at all levels of Omega and the Compton community. The Brothers of Tata have consistently given richly of their time, their talent, and treasure to provide uplift to their community through a host of events that focus on the collective good of the family. Tata's signature service event, the Omega Youth Leadership Summit, serves as a model for all of Omega and annually attracts scores of brothers throughout Omega to attend and learn best practices they can employ in their own communities. The reach of Tata extends far beyond California, and your founding brother, Dr. Roland Powell, served as a leader in my community of Jackson, Mississippi, for many years, both as a stalwart Omega man and civic leader. I'm also proud to call a number of your chapter members friend. In particular, Brothers Ricky Lewis and Kwame Dow serve alongside me as our first Vice Grand Bossless and 12th District Representative, respectively. And both diligently work to ensure that we always put the best of Omega forward. My Brothers of Tata Chapter, you continue to be a shining light within the greater Los Angeles community and all of Omega. And on behalf of the Supreme Council and our over 200,000 initiated Omega men in 750 chapters and in 15 countries, I salute you on this momentous 60th anniversary celebration and wish you much continued success.